G'day guys and welcome back to Ados the Great YouTube channel. So guys, for today's video we're going to recap this weekend's action. So I don't know how you guys went in the tipping, but yeah, I went 4 from 8. So very disappointing. I thought I'd have an amazing week this week. I thought teams like the Rabbitohs and the Roosters, even the bloody Manly would get up, but unfortunately, it wouldn't be the case. So yeah, what I'm here to do today is basically go over each game, talk a little bit about each team. I don't want this to be that long of a video, but sorry, but I also don't, I also still want to go over every team, everybody's favorite team, basically. So some of you might not like it because obviously the team didn't play well, so I won't be able to say all that good about. But yeah, let's start off with the Thursday night game, and that was between the Penrith Panthers and the Manly Sea Eagles. Now I think most people back Manly after hearing Nathan Cleary was not going to play. That was a mistake because the Panthers were amazing. Both teams completed fairly well. Like completion rates, Penrith had 86%, Manly had 82%, so not bad with the completion rate on either side. It was just Manly didn't really, what's the word I'm looking for here? Didn't really take their opportunities when they rose. Like obviously they got down to the Panthers try line, so that they were down there. They had ample opportunities to score tries, but they just couldn't put it together. So yeah, Manly for me were very disappointing. While I know everybody hates on Daly Cherry Evans, I thought he was fairly good. His kicking game was pretty good. Defensively, he was fairly good too. It's just Penrith were a much better side. So if we check through some of the player stats, like Dylan Edwards made over 300 meters. Crazy. He is such a good player. I'd say he's probably an underrated fullback because he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. Jerome Luai was very good without Cleary there, but Sean O'Sullivan really stepped up. And I've got to admit, I wasn't expecting it. I didn't expect him to play that well, but he was expected to take that number 7 jersey and plays hard at, and that's what he did. So shout out to him. Isaac Tago was amazing on debut. The forwards were very good. Isaiah Yeo, Liam Martin, both amazing. Apso Kurosau had a good game at dummy half. And yeah, Scott Saracen off the bench was pretty good too. But that's pretty much all I've got to say for the Panthers. We'll run over and see how Manly did. So realistically, you don't really have too many good players to talk about. Like Daly Cherry Evans had nearly 100 meters gained for a halfback. That's crazy. He made 24 tackles with only 3 misses. Again, for a halfback, that's crazy. 549 kick meters. Like, got to give him credit. He tried. He tried, and I think a few players did try their best, but it's a team effort. You need more than 2 or 3 players to be, aiming up and trying their best. So, yeah, it's a team game at the end of the day, and I thought Manly were quite disappointing on Thursday night. Sorry. Moving over to the Friday night games, this one was a classic. The first game of the night was the Raiders against the Sharks. Sorry, I got confused there. I was like, hang on, Manly and Panthers. No, the first game of Friday night was the Raiders and the Sharks, and this was an awesome game. I liked it. The tries sort of went back and forward. Like you had Whiten and Valemay getting the first couple of tries, and then Brayley scored. You then had Chance get a try back for the Raiders, and then a couple of tries for Cronulla coming through Kennedy and Tig Wilton, who Tig Wilton for me was amazing. Bloody good player. Hudson Young finished it off after Cronulla got the field goal. So, very, very fun game to watch. For the Raiders, standout players for me, I thought Josh Papali'i was very good. Same with Joe Tarpany in the forward pack. I think they were brilliant. I think The game was realistically won by the forwards. Jack Whiten had a blinder. Absolutely brilliant game from him. Corey Harawira-Naera was very good as well, as was Hudson Young. Like as I said, I think the forward pack is where the Raiders got that one done. Cronulla, Nico Hines had a good debut. Then Blake Brayley obviously had a very good game. I'm pretty sure he topped the tackle count. Could be wrong. No, Dale Finucane topped the tackle count. But like Teague Wilton was brilliant. Ran for over 100 metres. He also finished the game with 32 tackles. Played the full 80 minutes. Like, he was brilliant. Andrew Fafita off the bench, I thought was very good. He had some damaging runs. I'm happy to see him back. Look, you love to hate Fafita, but he is a good player. And while the last couple of years he hasn't been, at his best, I'm hoping he can find that good form again in 2022 because I do like Fafita. All right, Broncos and Rabbitohs was the next one, and obviously Rabbitohs fan here, so this was very disappointing. I was at Suncorp Stadium for this game, and look, it was a good game of football. It was a good, tough game of football, and I thought the Broncos played extremely well. Rabbitohs were a bit flat. Cody Walker, the Broncos really came down on Walker, didn't offer him any opportunity. Walker struggled. Walker definitely struggled in this game. But if we are to go over some stats, the possession percentage was very close. Broncos 52%, Rabbitohs 48%. It's the completion rates that killed it for Souths. 83% completion for the Broncos and only 66% for Souths. That's very unlike the Rabbitohs. Rabbitohs defensively, I thought were brilliant. It's the attack that we were lacking on Friday night. If we look at some of the Broncos' key performers, Albert Kelly was amazing, as was Billy Walters. I thought Sylvan Cobbo was pretty good, but I think the Broncos announcers and stuff kind of overhyped him. Payne Haas, for me, was the best on ground. Finished the game with 187 metres as well as 45 tackles. Very, very good. Very underrated performance, in my opinion. Kurt Capewell, obviously one of the better players too. Again, I think the forward pack was brilliant for the Broncos, and that's really what put them over the line. Rabbitohs, disappointing. Obviously, Cody Walker wasn't great. Players like, Campbell Graham really stood up. My top three best players for the Rabbitohs this weekend was Campbell Graham, Jai Arrow, and Siliva Havili. When Havili came on, it just changed the game for us. He looked really good. He had a lot of good runs. It was just disappointing that we couldn't capitalise on the back of that. Damien Cook made some crucial errors, and there's a lot we've got to work on, especially when we're coming up against a red hot Melbourne Storm team. Back on to another disappointing loss. This one goes to the Sydney Roosters. The Knights absolutely killed them on the back of an amazing performance from Dane Gagai. If we look at the player stats for the Roosters, James Tedesco really didn't have one of his better performances. He did run for over 150 metres, but he made a few errors. There was a few missed tackles there, and their backs were quite quiet for me. Forward pack wasn't that great either. I thought Angus Crichton and Lindsay Collins were probably the best in a losing squad. But yeah, other than that, the Roosters, we don't really have too much more to talk about. They were pretty disappointing. Then we look at the Knights, the majority of their team played really well. This was very much a team effort. Dane Gagai was outstanding, running for 200 metres. He also made 23 tackles, 6 tackle breaks, a line break. Dominic Young was amazing. Kalen Ponga was brilliant. I thought Jake Clifford at 5'8" was really good for them. So for someone that tipped the Knights to get the wooden spoon in their bold predictions, I think that one, I might take an L for that one this year, because the Knights look like a completely revitalised and different team. Forward pack we'll talk about. So I thought Tyson Frizzell was very good, as was Lachlan Fitzgibbon. Kurt Young at lock. Kurt Mann, sorry, at lock was very good as well. All around, it was just a good team performance. So shout out to Knights and Knights fans. You guys deserve this one. All right, next up, we've got the Warriors against the Dragons. So this one was very close for probably about 50 minutes, and then the Dragons just ran away with it. If we're going to look at player stats, again, this was another game that the Warriors played very well in their forward pack, with Adam Fanua-Blake running for over 150 metres, and then their second rowers both getting over 100 metres, as well as Josh Curran with 106. Defensively, the forwards were very good as well, with both Ewan Aitken and Josh Curran both finishing with 40 tackles. If we look at the Dragons, Ravalawa was amazing, running for over 170 metres. Tackle-wise, they didn't need to make any tackles, that many tackles, because for the most part, they were in control of this game. I'll go over and check the possession percentage in a second, but yeah, this one, I think, the Dragons just ran away with it late. Warriors didn't look too bad, but I think that they need to get Reece Walsh back at fullback. I don't think CHT is a fullback. He's definitely a half for me. I wouldn't be playing him at fullback. I get they did it because they're waiting on Reece Walsh, but I don't know. I feel like there could have been better options for them. Marcelo Montoya in a losing team was pretty good, running for nearly 150 metres as well. But if we look at the Dragons, obviously Ravalawa, brilliant. I thought Ben Hunt was pretty good. I was a little bit disappointed with Talatau Monet, but again, he's still pretty fresh. He's still, it's the first game of the season. He's young. He's going to take a little bit more time to adapt and come into first grade fully. Jack Bird was brilliant in the second row. Jaden Sewell was pretty good for them. Jack DeBellum wasn't bad either. Starting to see a trend with Rabbitohs players that have left that are having a pretty good. They had a pretty good weekend, not gonna lie. All right, moving over to the Tigers and Storm. I was pretty impressed with the Tigers in the first half. They were good. The Tigers were pretty good. I think they were up 16-6 at one point. Their ball control was pretty good for the first half, but it fell off in the second half. They completed at 74%, so not bad, but not great either. If we look at player stats, I thought Luke Brooks was pretty good there. Jackson Hastings, I think he needs more time with the team. He wasn't as good as I think a lot of people were expecting him to be. With that being said, I think a lot of people put pressure on him to, be the guy for the Tigers. I think it's going to take time for him to gel and come into this side properly. But I thought Luke Brooks was very good. Tyrone Peachey off the bench, I thought was spectacular. Defensively, he was great off the bench, making 28 tackles with no misses. He made a few tackle breaks as well. So, I thought he was pretty good off the bench. I'd say Tyrone Peachey and Luke Brooks were probably their better players. Ken Mamalo got a double as well, so you got to give him credit for that. For the Storm, Jerome Hughes was a standout. He was amazing. Brandon Smith got injured in the first couple of minutes, so that was disappointing for them. Ryan Pappenhausen wasn't too bad. I was expecting a little bit better from him. But, as I said, it's clunky. You're going to have these type of games at the start of the season until the team start to, get back into the swing of things. Plus, you had Nick Meaney playing at 5'8", who did fine there. He did his job, but when Munster comes back, I think we're going to see a completely different Storm side, as well as Harry Grant. Off the bench, I thought Trent, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, Trent Loiero was very good, running for over 100 metres. He also made 22 tackles off the bench, not to mention scoring a try. So Very, very good, in my opinion, off the bench there for Trent. All right, so that is the Storm and Tigers game. On to today's football, both really good games. Well, look, the first game was better than the second for sure. Parramatta and the Titans that was an amazing clash, brilliant clash. I really enjoyed that. Um, it was back and forth. There was the line break or the break from David Fafita was brilliant. Sean Russell got a hat trick. Unfortunately, his night ended early due to the rib injury. Mitchell Moses was spectacular. I thought he was probably the best on ground for Parramatta. Clint Gutherson really didn't have the game, he normally has. But yeah, full credit to the Eels, man. They were brilliant. We'll go over the teams in a second, and I'll give you my best few players as I've been doing today. But yeah, so well, let's have a look at the stats first, like for the team stats. Realistically, it wasn't that good. Completion rate was down, so 67% for the Titans, 77% for the Eels, 57% possession for the Eels, 43% for the Titans. Now, with that being said, the Titans played fairly well with the lack of possession they had. So to only lose that one by 4 points is pretty big. Errors weren't great, like 12 for the Titans, 8 for the Eels. You'd expect a bit less than that. We'll look at stats. Like, as I said, Mitchell Moses was brilliant. Sean Lane, I think, really was amazing in the forward pack, as was Isaiah Papali'i. Junior Paulo was brilliant as well. Junior Paulo was 160 run meters. Isaiah Papali'i was 193 meters. Then you look at tackles, like Sean Lane led it in with 34 tackles. He just had a brilliant game. Scored a try. Like, what more can you ask for from your second rower? I thought he was brilliant. Moving on to the Titans, I thought Jaden Campbell had a really good game. Philip Sami and Brian Kelly were very good over on that side. They were brilliant. Patrick Herbert and Greg Marzu weren't great, but I think defensively it really let them down. They let a few too many tries in on that side. So a bit disappointing there from them. Thought Toby Sexton was brilliant. I had my doubts about how well Sexton would play this year. Obviously, I know he's a good player, but I did doubt, is he going to be like, a first grade half? Is he going to be able to keep that going all year? Because as we saw with Sam Walker, he did get a bit fatigued and they had to rest him a few weeks. So I don't know if that's going to happen with Sexton this year, but he definitely deserves some credit because he was very good today. Aaron Clark, I thought, was really good. David Fafita and Tino, leaders of this club, I thought were pretty good, but could have done a little bit more. I do understand that David was kept under control, basically, by Parramatta, except for that big line break he made. Other than that, that's pretty much the week in review there. So if we go over the results to finish it, Panthers with an easy win, 28-6 over Manly. Raiders with a 5-point win over Cronulla. Broncos up 11-4 over the Rabbitohs. 20-6 Knights beating the Roosters. 28-16 Dragons beating the Warriors. 26-16 Storm beating the Tigers. 32-28 Titans defeated by the Eels. And 6-4 Bulldogs defeating Cowboys, which I haven't spoken about yet. My apologies, Bulldogs and Cowboys fans. So this one was a bit scrappy. Understandably, it was raining, so it does make it a bit harder to complete sets. But your professional rugby league players, you should be able to hold on to the ball. You do training in the wet weather. I do understand it's hard, but this game, even when it wasn't raining, wasn't that great. Completion rate 65% to the Cowboys, 76% to the Bulldogs. Look, if we go over to player stats, you'll see that the Hammer, he had a good game. I thought Murray Tuolungi was very good as well. Chad Townsend in his first game in a Cowboys jersey I thought was quite good. Reece Robson at dummy half was amazing. Jason Taumalolo was a little bit disappointing for me. I thought he could have been a bit better. Tom Gilbert was brilliant. Jeremiah Nanai was freaking amazing. Like, together, one put up, Tom Gilbert put up 148 meters. Jerome Nanai put up 137. Then we've got like Tom Gilbert put up 47 tackles as well, scoring a try also. Like, all these guys really, they dug deep, but unfortunately the errors did kill them. For the Bulldogs, their backs weren't great. Jaden Ockenberg was fine. Braden Burns in the 57 minutes he played was actually pretty good. I was quite surprised with how well Braden Burns played in that smaller period of time. Um, I think the best player for the Bulldogs was actually a toss-up between Luke Thompson and Max King off the bench. Thompson making 131 meters and Max King 105. Tackle-wise, these guys went crazy. Luke Thompson made 46 tackles and Max King made 40. Very happy with Max King's result, I won't lie. He is in my fantasy team, so I will take that. Unfortunately, I didn't start him, but that should bring some money into the team. But yes, guys, let me know how your tipping went. Did you have a good week? Did you predict some of these upsets? Let me know down in the comments, guys. But that is going to wrap it up from me. I'll be back probably tomorrow morning for a Rabbitohs team list prediction video. Go over what changes I'd make there. So stay tuned for that one, guys. But this is going to wrap it up from me. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.